the same principle applies with organizations. Getting Copilot to reason over all of that data, to come up with a scenario, or to give you data to make a decision, it just makes it so much quicker to get everything done and to execute faster.
Hi, and welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. This week we have Anthony Woodruff, who's Senior Technical Program Manager on the Cape team at Microsoft. We get into what the Cape team do, if Anthony has actually got a Cape, and also get into a lot of conversation around Copilot and the real world use cases. Really great conversation. Hope you enjoy it. Many thanks to Anthony, and also many thanks to AVISPL, who are the sponsor of the podcast. Really appreciate their support of Empowering Cloud. On with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I can't believe this is the first time we've had Anthony on the podcast. This is ridiculous. But Anthony, do you want to just introduce yourself and give us a little bit of what your current role is and history in life?
Awesome. Yeah. Tom, firstly, thanks for having me. As you say, I can't believe it's the first time either. I think you've been asking me for a long time, right? To come on. Various different things have always got in the way. But pleasure to be here. I'm Anthony Woodruff. I'm a technical program manager at Microsoft. I've been here for 5 years, which is just flies by. It's absolutely insane. I
can remember you joining. Like that feels like crazy. That's 5 years.
It's mad. It's been a really cool journey to get where I am now, and it's never a dull moment. So I'm part of the M365 Cape team, which is the Microsoft 365 customer and partner ecosystem team. So very much I spend all day talking about Teams. My group deal with the customer health escalations and quality team. So we work with a lot of our strategic customers. We help them deploy Teams, new features. We deal with escalations. We write a lot of playbooks. And
is that across Geo team? Is that a UK team?
Across
How's
Geo
that
team.
work?
Yeah. So I've got colleagues from obviously in Seattle, California. I've got some in the Midwest, even sort of New York as well. But we are a global team. We have a mix of technical program managers. We have customer experience PMs as well, who work on a lot of extensibility and sort of plugins and everything for Teams. We also have ecosystem PMs as well, who work with all of the partners, helping get the apps into Teams. And we also have some PMs as well called toll PMs, which is our Teams as an operating layer, and they again get down into working on all of the extensibility and connectors and all of that really cool stuff. And the beauty of our team in the roles that we perform is we're all complementary to each other. We work with customers that have intent to deploy Teams. I've already deployed it, and it's fair to say when I literally joined this team as COVID started, it was absolutely mad.
Suddenly everybody had the intent to deploy Teams at massive scale very quickly.
And that Link and Skype for Business thing was we were migrating away from that, right? Like you, I've got a huge background in unified comms and communications. I've been in comms for since when did I start as an apprentice? 2005 for a large telco, and did the whole Microsoft Certified Master program, which again feels like a distant memory away now. Eat, sleep, and breathe unified comms, converged comms, intelligent comms, whatever we want to call it this week, right? So it's always an exciting space, and something I get quite a lot of joy out of seeing people use.
Awesome. Do you get a Cape in the Cape team? Surely
they were handing them out at the as end of year prizes. I don't think I've ever seen one. But
I feel like you can't have that team acronym and not have a Cape. You got to turn up on calls like with it waving behind you.
I think didn't there used to be a OneDrive Cape going around somewhere with the
there's been a few actually. I think I'm sure Laurie had a Teams purple one at one of the events as well.
Yeah, no, we haven't got one yet. We'll see what when I go to Seattle in September. We'll see whether they've got any out there. I'll try and grab a photo wearing one. And
awesome. Cool. So your history is in you said you ex big telco that we both know obviously, and you've done a lot of voice and UC. Is your part of Cape more around phone and voice, or does it? Vary?
So my part of the Cape team in that sort of customer health team, we do all things Teams. So, you can see behind me, I've got lots of different Teams devices here and Clippy's hidden here in the blur. But yeah, we'll do everything from chat, calling meetings and devices, and our new AI workloads as well now. Teams Premium, it's very much a broad skill set you have, and a lot of depth in those as well, right? So I can literally go from call to call to call, talking about multiple different things as we go.
Yeah, it's a huge product. Yeah. Like, I mean, we try and cover everything, and you end up pulled into the wider M365 conversation, obviously, absolutely, particularly with Copilot, particularly with compliance and governance. But Premium's super interesting as well, because even that SKU, I think it's 11 kind of major feature areas if you count them out, of like, and they're all quite deep. Knowing the premium webinar features inside out is different to knowing the security features inside out is different to knowing the branding features inside out. So there's quite a lot there.
Absolutely, and it changes, regularly, right? I mean, I can go away on holiday and I can come back and I now use AI to summarize it for me. But previously, you're catching up on all the things that have changed because, as you'll know, by the nature of Evergreen, everything is constantly evolving all of the time. We're taking feedback. One of the important parts of our team here at Microsoft is to take feedback, right? And feed that back into the product managers to help with product decisions, right? It's a very varied but quite a privileged role at the same time for what we do, because we get to hear that feedback, straight out from direct
exactly. Direct from the customer. Like, there's nothing can beat that. And the contextual of understanding the feedback, I think. Obviously, all software companies try and do surveys and things, but there's something about living with the customer and being like, I now understand why you're driving for this feature or this use case or that use case. And then there's a different skill to being able to articulate that back to product people of like, no, not this, because of this, because of this, because of this. Like, it's really important.
And some of the highest value from my perspective work that we do in this team is when we work with complex organizations, right, big and small, is deploying and being on the journey with them as they're going through everything, and then coming out the other side and then doing a review, or even as we're sort of going along and going, hang on a minute, there's some feedback. They give you feedback in the moment, right? And learning that whole journey, because you've worked in this space, longer than I have, right? Around previously, we would just get that ISO file with that list of static features on, and you'd roll that cumulative update on, and you'd know what was changing effectively. Whereas now, with the nature of the cloud, it's that roadmap is constantly changing. There's new UI that appears. There's things that we deprecate and remove. And it is such a mindset shift for everybody. I went to an event back last year, and I felt actually really old because there were some folks there that had never seen a server. They'd never installed a Windows operating system. They'd never got one of those ISO files or those MSDN disks that you and I will remember, because they were cloud natives. And there is, it's such a mindset shift, such a change, and even back in those early days with conversations of, I don't want to move my comms to the cloud. Why would I want to do that? Right. And here we are, right? It's a hugely successful platform, and it's, I feel very privileged to work in this team and with what we do, and also to go to events and see slides that we've crafted being used in various different presentations, because our whole purpose as well is to get playbooks out there to bring feature A, feature B, C, and D together to make it a scenario and a story that everybody can consume.
Yeah, it is so fast paced, but you say it's nice. It's one of those products that impacts customers. I've said it right back to the OTS days and Link days. Like, you're bringing something new to the organization. You're bringing new capabilities, new experiences. You're enabling new ways of working. I always thought it was much more satisfying than working on, AD or SQL or Exchange, which are all pivotal to everything working, right? And any of those break, the world ends. But like, the users see Teams and they get to experience these new capabilities. I was going to say,
how many times did you have fun with the SQL backend back in the day, falling over, right? Exactly.
Fabric. I don't want to see Fabric ever again.
Many a time watching that rehydrate back in the day. But you're right. Of all of those workloads are really important. They are foundational to everything that we run on top of. But there is nothing for me. It sounds really sad. If I'm sat in a coffee shop and I hear Teams ringing in the corner there, of somebody else using it, I go, I can see the job sat. Yeah.
Isn't it a funny thing that now everybody understands what it is? Like you always have to do, or I always have to do the, Skype for Business. Oh, it's like Skype Consumer for enterprises. And it was very, very big orgs knew it, but nobody else knew it. But now every Teams is common vernacular with everybody. Everybody knows what you work on, and the product, and I find a lot of times not all the capabilities though, because it's such a big product. They'll be, oh yeah, we use that. It's like, we use it for chat. It does so much more.
And it's built upon all those other workloads underneath, right? The bit I love about it, and I live in it, right, is just being able to pop out an app now, being able and continuing that in that sort of Teams as an operator, that flow all day, right? And it's really good. I mean, one of the best things for the popping out is this curve monitor I've got, right? I invested, being able to have multiple windows of Teams open now. Means I'm just in my flow all the time, and I can just go context switch from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. If you think before, I was the MSN Messenger generation, right? When I closed that down, that was it. The message was gone, right? And now we've got that there, and it's persistent, and I can get back to it. And I can wake up the following day and I know what I've got, right? I mean, I've got to do. I mean, we spoke, I mentioned on a podcast I was on Friday, around how AI and Copilot is that complementary assistant now there that, when I have a week off and I come back, I can immediately launch Teams, I can click the Copilot button, and I can write my prompt saying, hey, I've been away for a week, give me blah, 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 and it's all there. And my effective time is like this now, because I've got all of that information there with the power of the graph, which is, really, really cool and has a lot more opportunity ahead of it as well.
Yeah, I think obviously AI is going to be a huge deal for everybody on some timeline, but I feel like Teams is at the cutting edge in the sense of it's all your real-time information. Obviously, meeting summaries, huge immediate use case that everybody seems to get, which is nice. But the chat and channel use cases, and also using Copilot as a surface to start my day, it obviously reaches into graph, as you say, so it's non-Teams items as well. It can get to your other bits and pieces. How do you find that, like digging into that day to day? What are your kind of Copilot use cases?
My Copilot use cases are probably the ones I use on a day-to-day basis is catching me up from stuff I've missed overnight. So as you can imagine, worldwide team, there's so many people posting new things, blah, 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 and I have to come in the morning. And I used to need a really strong coffee before Copilot because I would have to... Exactly.
You scroll back up and start going down. Like 70% of it is pointless, but the 30% you need to know, you don't know where the 30% is, right?
And being able to have Copilot there now to summarize that for me is really key. Other ones as well is being added into a group chat and being like, hang on a minute, there's reams and reams and reams of this stuff, and just saying, hey Copilot, can you summarize this for me? Right. The summarization is really good. The using it in meetings, we use it all day, every day. I no longer have to sit here writing notes anymore. I do take the odd note from time to time on sort of my OneNote of key things that I've signed myself up to typically, or things I need to remember, or if someone shares a really cool link. But leveraging that, and also using Copilot to search knowledge management across the org. Right, that those files that are out there, being able to, if I'm hearing a new acronym on a call, I can say to hey Copilot, can you tell me what this is, please? Because Microsoft's full of acronyms. I've used at least 6, 7 on this podcast already, right? CAPE and various different other things, and because it is just consistently changing as everything evolves, right? And I think people have this mindset of AI is there to cause massive disruption and put and I view it as it's there to help you be more effective, right? The power of the prompt that you put into it is the most important thing. Focusing on the outcome you need. You know, I ask it to summarize things in tables for me, just because I consume data that way. You know, and it's amazingly clever at helping you focus on, as I say, the outcome you need, rather than you having to build an outcome as you go, right? How many times do we sit and search on keyword and the like? Now it will just go and reason over that and give me what's important. I still obviously...
Yeah, I heard an amazing use case you just touched on there, which is, I was talking to a customer for the pod actually, and they said one of the killer ones is new employee. Like they come into the business and they come in, if you're lucky and it's an org that uses Teams and channels, at least some of the history's there. But either way, they can search all the documents, all the history. They can get up to speed, like say acronyms, that kind of stuff. It's amazingly powerful.
And it's amazingly powerful how
org.
you, as you say. I mean, every organisation I've joined, apart from this one, onboarding was tough, right? Especially when you transition to new teams as well.
Yeah, even new teams within Microsoft. I mean, it's again, massive org. Like how one team works is not how another team works. There's still new terms, new
the
culture,
rhythm of
new
business,
process.
as you say, changes from every org you go to, and you will always go through that phase of change and, you know, feeling slightly uncomfortable when you do that, right? And a lot of it is just getting comfortable with, I need all this information, because you have an expectation in yourself of, I've got to know all this now. I have to know it now, right? And being able to leverage AI to help you know, summarize that, point you in the right direction is really important. But also, the bit that excites me most about this is the extensibility part of it, right? Being able to connect into other systems and, you know, reason over that with, you know, an LLM. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of my colleagues in the CXPM org and the, you know, the toll PMs and even the EPMs, they work with a lot of our partners to bring those apps, bring those plugins into you know, the Teams ecosystem, so that I can start talking to Copilot and say, hey, can you go and access this system, please, and pull me the latest data? And that's powerful.
It's kind of like a new interface, isn't it? Like a chat-centric interface. But the beauty of it is it's not as hard as it used to be to integrate into those systems, particularly if they've got, you know, they've typically products these days were pretty good in IT. There tends to be back-end API, front-end. Like if the product or system is architected like that, your CRM, your shipping app, whatever it may be, Copilot can interrogate that almost like it's at the UI, but then you've got this awesome AI interpretation intelligence to understand what you're trying to ask and the data coming back, and it can manipulate, you know, which bit of that data is going to answer the question. I've seen some stuff more around the contact center use cases where it's been like agents have to dip into all these different systems. Can we streamline it for them so they can just ask a question, has the order shipped?
And you mentioned the agent one there as an example, right? I mean, being able to give them all that intelligence to save them 20 clicks for click to click to click to click, you know, being able to say, hey, can you give me an update on this? You know, why did the order fail to ship? Or, you know, if I think of my old life, right, why did the engineer fail to arrive to site, right? Being able to get that end-to-end flow, and it improves everything for the customer, but it also improves it for the person that's giving that message too. And I don't know about you, but every website I seem to be going on now, if I'm buying something, there's a new AI assistant that pops up, right? And it seems to be getting you know, more and more prevalent in the ecosystem, and it's quite exciting, right? I mean, this is a fundamental shift in what we've been used to for forever, right?
Yeah, it's so exciting, and it'll impact different industries at different paces, different use cases. But it feels like it's people that are slightly less excited about the change. It's like you wouldn't not give your employees laptops or mobiles or the internet. Like it would be mental to be like, oh, you're not allowed to search things on the internet, but this role you have to, you know, you can't do that. So same principle. Obviously there's security and safety and data, consider all those good things, but like it's like you're tying someone's one hand behind their back in terms of what they can do if you take that extra capabilities away from them.
Yeah, and when you've used Copilot, I'm using it every day. The responses that I get back, of course, I'm reasoning over myself to make sure they're accurate and they're what I want.
It's a tool, right? It's a tool.
Exactly, it's a tool. And it's there to empower you to be more effective, right? I mean, I used and I use this one quite a lot of my daughter. My daughter is neurodiverse, my eldest. And when I give her technology, she's all over it, right? She's had a laptop since she was 7. She's just, loves Minecraft.
Not a surprise in your house.
Absolutely. But giving her the ability to talk to Copilot on a phone and whatever, some of the things she does with it and the things she asks it, I would never dream of asking, and the outputs you get are really good. And if mentioned I was the MSN Messenger generation, all that stuff. For my kids now and yours and beyond, right? It's a very exciting place to be. AI can help you learn a skill.
I'm so excited. Right? I'm so excited for Edu because essentially you can have like one-to-one tutoring with infinity patience, infinity knowledge, and like adaptable to the way of like how you work. Like I've been using it with my 10-year-old while she's doing homework, and it's just like explain this in a different way. Like give me some examples. Give me like it's like and again we're relatively at the beginning of this journey, but it can't not again massively impact Edu for the positive, which is I can turn up and learn pretty much whatever I want at my own pace. I know that like Khan Academy are doing some really cool stuff, indexing all their content. Like, again, content's got to be good. Like all the good AI stuff applies, but the upside in Edu and the kind of the democratization of that, because obviously if you had the money, you could have a personal tutor, right? That's an unfair advantage that someone from a certain country or amount of money has. Levels it all out, hopefully, accessible to everybody in a really exciting way.
Yeah, and I mean, Khan Academy is a great example, right? We showcased that at Build, I think it was, at one of our recent events. And talking to some of my daughter's teachers, right, being able to leverage those smaller language models to create a lesson plan and the like, it takes a lot of the admin away from them. Because I feel for teachers, right? I know they're in the UK, they're all off right now, hopefully having a well-earned break. But being able to leverage AI to help with the admin, to give a lesson plan. You use the tutor one there as a great example, right? And also to use AI in the flip of, especially in universities and the like, leveraging it to see plagiarism, right? Because we give these tools out there. And it's been around for quite a while. Some of these tools that are out there to analyze that sort of thing. But EDU is a hugely amazing space for this, and even some of the things we're doing in Teams in the EDU space that my colleague Mike Folsom is all over
great
all the
with
time.
The content, those YouTube updates and stuff. He is on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such an exciting time, and just for helping people progress. Right?
It's really exciting. It is nice to see the positive impacts it can have.
Mm. And a lot of it is just being curious and trying it, right? Not being scared of it, just give it a go, right? Especially with Copilot, adoption and change management.
Yeah, I think something that
paramount.
I'm finding when I talk to organizations that they're not really understanding as well is they've got the core Copilot in pretty much every SKU now with commercial data protection. Like obviously the M365 Copilot is where it really starts to unlock some of the extra cleverness, particularly in Teams, Outlook, Excel, etc. But there's a lot you can do to get on the journey with just the web-based Copilot and start learning some things. And it's already there. Because the M365 Copilot is a commercial consideration. We're buying a new license that you've got to test out. I'm like, you can get tons of value with what's in the box. Like start there and step up to M365 when the time's right.
100%. Yeah, exactly. And seeing that Copilot introduced, it was Bing Chat, and then it rebranded to Copilot, right, to bring everything under one brand. I use it all the time for search. I literally use it all the time for search, or to if I've got a huge block of text. I think I used this on the example on Friday, right? One of my friends, when they get send these massive text messages, right, and just being able to give that to the AI to reason over and summarize for me, helps me and helps them to communicate, because sometimes it can be, I'm guilty of writing long messages like we all are, right? Funny enough, somebody was saying, I saw it on one of my colleagues' notes the other day, especially with the MSN Messenger generation, we were used to, hello, enter, how are you, enter, are you okay, enter, right? And for some, smiling, because that's quite overwhelming for some people. Right, and then we moved to text messages, and it was, I've got my turn.
Also, the no hello thing around instant messaging of don't say hello and then leave me hanging. Like give me the entire context so I can reply. But again, a lot of people found that impolite. They're like, well, no, I don't want to just bombard you. So there's some cultural norms and cultural change there around how do we efficiently work with each other.
Yeah, and it's also knowing that everybody's different in how they want to communicate and how they and again, all of this AI, all of this all this work that we're doing effectively gives us the tools that will work with us on how we want to work. Right. You mentioned around some of the stuff we're doing in Office with having Copilots in Excel and PowerPoint and everything. Right. There's an amazing opportunity there. And it will continue as we, add more and more capability to those to just make life easier to produce those PowerPoints, right? I think I wowed my daughters one day when I said, hey, can you go and produce me a PowerPoint on elephants, please? Because that was one of their favorite animals. And just watching it build it all, they're like, Daddy, wow. And I said, yeah. I said, years ago, we would have had to do this line by line, right? And again, I felt really old, dragging it all into the right place, but just being able to.
And again, it's unlocking tools, isn't it, as well? Because we've all got this Office suite that is amazingly powerful, that's developed over 10, 15 years, and all of us use about 5% of it. Because nobody knows. There's probably somebody out there, but who knows how to use Word very well, and PowerPoint very well, and Excel very well. So the fact that you can say in English what you're trying to achieve, and Copilot can surface the capabilities, is again really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you'll remember the Microsoft Office specialist certifications that we used to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when what did I start on? The ECDL, the European Computer Driving License.
No, I don't remember that one.
I had to do that at school back in the day, which was how to use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and the like. And my brain wanted me to be an engineer at that point rather than learning how to do those in depth. But you're right, is the tools are becoming more intelligent. They're becoming more accessible for people, because accessibility is something that's really important to me and us as a company at Microsoft. If I think at school, right, you do show and tell, right? If you've now got this Copilot technology where somebody can sit there going, I need to write a presentation about elephants and I need to talk about this, blah, blah, and it just produces it, you can learn so much more in that time rather than, I need to go away and spend a week doing it.
Spending time on the actual content as opposed to the tool and the creation,
Exactly. And the same principle applies with organizations. Getting Copilot to reason over all of that data, to come up with a scenario, or to give you data to make a decision, it just makes it so much quicker to get everything done and to execute faster. And that's something obviously that we as an organization continue to build on. And those touch points are across everything in the suite, right? Being on a meeting, I just want to make decisions quicker. If you're away, I want to follow a meeting, right? It's all these things that are getting better and better as every day goes
that's what
on.
excites me about being focused on Teams. Is that again the essential part of this journey. It's going to affect everything, but like comms, collaboration, meetings, chat, there's just so much potential for AI to improve our experience there. It's really exciting.
Yeah, across all the different touch points, right? So whether you're on the mobile or the cell, or you're on your PC or Mac, or even these things behind me, right? I spoke about this a little bit on another podcast on Friday around. I'm super excited about what we're doing here, right? Having rolling your voice print, optionally, and Copilot knowing you're in the room, right, when you start talking for the notes and the like.
The team Copilot scenarios are a whole nother thing coming later this year as well, where it's like we're moving from this, kind of phase one was your personal assistant, and phase two is this more agent multiplayer model. I'm so you imagine like that need to help a team work together across their meetings and their project, i.e. their channels and chat and files, like an AI agent, a team Copilot that can span all those areas, can create project plans, can make to-do lists, can kind of prompt you on like nobody's taking this action, like those kind of things. It's going to be really, really exciting.
And in the nature of what we do, I mean, the technology layer is there as an assistant. We use it I've used it quite a lot. It's my personal assistant, and you've used it there. We context switch so many times during the day with every meeting we go on, with every tab we open up in Edge or whatever you're using. And your mind just switches all the time, right? Having an assistant to go back and say, "Oh, I'm back on this thread now. Can you just catch me up on where we are?" Blah blah blah. So I'm upset. It's game changing, and it's super helpful for modern life, right? It's really cool.
Nice. So conclusion. You've got to know all of Teams in your role now, Anthony, and all of Copilot. Basically, that's FY25 for you.
Yeah, pretty much. It's staying ahead of the curve all the time, right, in this role, and it is really exciting. I do love this job, and as we were sort of saying before we came on, August is normally quiet. It's not this year.
No, the pace has kept going because the innovation is going, the adoption is going. So.
And obviously, we've got big events coming up later in the year with Ignite and the like, right?
Yep. Looking forward to those. And, Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, I will be there, all being well. And the pace of change is just continual.
Awesome. Well, I'm not going to let you go this long before not coming on the pod again. No, you're officially been on. So
that's it, right?
That's good to know.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased to be here because, as I said, this has been a long time coming. You've been asking me for quite a while.
Yeah, well, I appreciate everything you do in the community. You're super engaged with everybody. You're on all the bits and pieces. You obviously, Comsverse and all the events and stuff. It's I appreciate you being so accessible.
Yeah, and for those that that don't know me and see me at those events, come up and say hello. Right, come and give me feedback. Right, good and bad. Some of the greatest learning opportunities that I have and that we have when I feed it back is that. Yeah. Because we have to design software for everybody, right?
Quite literally.
Yeah, exactly, right. And there are scenarios that you and the community will hit that we haven't seen yet, or that I haven't seen, or that my team haven't seen. And that's what helps us feed into things like those playbooks. You've seen the device deployment playbook. We worked on that one. There's a multitude of those playbooks on the Teams Academy page, aka.ms/Teams Academy, if people want to go and have a look there. That just helps you with those questions rather than raising a support ticket or rather than having to hunt for ages. We've built a lot of those assets, and they're free to use.
Awesome. Well, thanks, mate. Thanks for coming to the pod. And appreciate catching up. And we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Take care. Cheers, Tom.